You're on video. Hello, I'm John Shepherd, and in this short video we're going to take a quick look at the training that we're doing at the moment with specific reference to plyometrics. If you've been a regular viewer of the channel, you'll know that I've made quite a few videos on plyometrics, and in this one we're going to take a look at some of the techniques that you can use to improve your bounding and your drop jumping, for example. I think this is something that's often overlooked. Okay, let's start with bounding. Bounds can be described as exaggerated running strides. The key aspects of bounding from a technical point of view are the movement of the hip. It needs to be driven away and the thigh held, and then there's the action of the foreleg and the foot being pulled back towards the track surface to create greater speed. To practice this foot contact, we'll often do specific drills which work on the pulling back of the heel towards the track surface. These can be done at various speeds, and it's crucial to think hip, knee, ankle as the specific movement. Another key aspect of bounding is the arm action used. First, you'll see Jonathan using a double arm action, and then Alison a single arm action. Whichever action is chosen, it's important to hold onto it to make it a long action. Doing this will ensure that your flight time is increased, and it'll also aid your balance. So let's analyse Alison in a little bit more detail. A key aspect that I like is to use quite a long run on to generate some speed. The thighs need to be driven away and the posture held upright. The lead arm needs to reach forwards, and you'll see that creates the extension through the drive leg. Okay, let's take a look at Sarah and consider the variable of foot contact and the time spent on the ground. So in terms of the actual time on the ground, the contact will be around about 150 milliseconds, which is around that, for example, for women's triple jump. The contact will be quicker on the hop, then slightly slower on the step, and slower still on the jump, because deceleration takes hold. Interestingly, women may be actually quicker off of the ground compared to men throughout the phases in the triple jump, as they are unable to exert as much force as the men, and therefore skip through the phases. On screen now is some research that indicates some of the reasons why women exert less force compared to men during the triple jump, and therefore it has a relevance also to bounding and other plyometric activities. Note the reference to faster contact times at the end of the slide. Okay, let's now take a look at drop jumps and other forms of platform-enabled plyometrics. On screen now are eccentric landing drop jumps, which also involve an isometric action when the athlete blocks, absorbs force and tries to remain still. As I say in previous videos, eccentric force capacity is very important for the long and triple jump, in that the stiffer you can be on takeoff and landings from the phases in the triple, the greater potential you will have to power through into the next phase, or in the case of the long jump, get a great dynamic takeoff. More and more research is indicating that eccentric capacity may be the key to improved jumping. Speed is obviously crucial when it comes to plyometric activity, trying to overcome force and react to it as quickly as possible. That's why I like to do these box jumps, whereby the athletes hop, for example, across these low platforms, trying to do so at speed with a minimal bend at the knee joint. You'll see this exemplified by Sarah, and the way to keep the speed up with this drill is to kick the foot away from you, the hopping foot. Okay, so now let's take a look at combinations of plyometric box jumps involving single and double legs. The single leg variants are much more difficult than double leg ones. However, it's important to be able to try to react to the ground as quickly as possible. If you use a standing start from the top of a box, the only way you're going to generate speed is by doing it yourself, by coming off the ground as quickly as possible. And you should keep that in mind and do this whatever the form of plyometrics you're performing. The aim is to be able to handle the type of landing forces and reactivity required of the drills that are on screen at the moment. In training, I tend to mix all these types of plyometric drills across the training week. As regular followers of the channel will know, I prefer an integrated training approach and not a separatist one where, for example, you may do your plyometrics away from your other training. I feel that there's a greater synergy between plyometrics and sprinting, and you're going to get a benefit between these two activities, for example, if combined in the same workout. Also, you'll be able to do more plyometrics across the training week as you'll be doing smaller segments of these drills in each workout. Having said that, I do progress the intensity of the plyometrics across the training year. However, it's a kind of undulating methodology, and we'll always be doing the more intense versions throughout the year. It's just that they tend to cycle through various phases. In terms of intensity, this doesn't necessarily mean that a plyometric exercise is more superior to another one. Run-on bounds are more intense, having said that, than, for example, low-level drop jumps. However, the value of the exercises should not be underestimated. Each one will fit together with other ones in order to develop optimum plyometric ability. Older textbooks would often prescribe the amount of plyometrics that were possible in a particular session. However, I tend to look for signs of fatigue in the athletes performing the elements of a session. So, if the speed of reaction begins to fall off in a plyometric session, for example, or the distances reduce, then I'll truncate the session or change the exercise, or perhaps provide a longer recovery to see if that will work. What of training surface and shoe choice? Well, I always find it's best to do the drills, the plyometric exercises, on a running track, as this will create the same landing and reactive forces that you will do, obviously, during a competition. Also, I'd advise that you mix between trainers and spikes where applicable. Obviously, doing drop jumps, you've got to wear trainers, whereas doing run-on bounds, for example, can enable you to use spikes. But always work to your level and be cautious, and it's the bigger picture that counts. Adding sessions of specific training on sessions of specific training will eventually get you the results, and doing some in trainers and some in spikes where applicable won't be a problem. Hopefully the information provided in this video will help you and your jumping. Please subscribe to the channel and leave any comments you may have in the section below or on my other social media. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll also get access to more content. For example, on my trips to athletics meetings, and also short videos on drills and some of our workouts. I've put a couple of clips here of some of this type of content for you to get an idea of what's being posted. Right, getting on the train to Birmingham. Just realised that in the field today we're going to see Ivana Spanovic and one Miguel Echeverria, so it's going to be a great competition. The hips are crucial for sprint performance and jumping, and here Tunde shows Pippa how to do an exercise that's great for hip power using 2 bands. One placed around the bottom of the legs and one placed higher up. And here he is demonstrating the exercise where the thighs are driven up and down against the resistance offered by the bands. And now you can see the movement and the potentiating effect of the exercise put into sprinting. And if you'd like to find out more about the free lap timing system, which I've been using throughout my training recently, drop me a direct message